Class 11th, Subject Physics, 10th chapter, Electrostatics. From this chapter, let us see what is Gauss' law or Gauss' theorem. In order to prove that Gauss' law or Gauss' theorem, let us consider a closed surface of any shape. That surface is S, which encloses a number of positive charges inside it. To prove Gauss' law, imagine a small point charge plus Q situated at point O inside that closed surface. Then let ds be very small area of that whole surface S, which is situated at point P. Then the magnitude of electric field intensity at this point P due to this plus Q charge situated at point O is given by the equation E equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q by R square, where R is the distance between the 2 points O and P. Let it be equation number 1. So E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q by R square will give us the electric field intensity at point P. Then the direction of this electric field intensity E will be along OP. It is along the same direction OP. Then let theta be the angle between the normal turn to the surface area ds and the direction of electric field intensity E. Here E is not perpendicular to this surface area ds, and therefore we have considered this normal or perpendicular component of this electric field intensity E, and therefore the electric flux passing through area ds, that is d phi, electric flux passing through area ds, that is d phi, will be equal to ds into E cos theta, ds E cos theta. But value of E is given by equation 1, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q by R square, and therefore d phi will be equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 R square into cos theta ds. It will be written as Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 into ds cos theta upon R square. Therefore d phi will be equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 into d omega, equation number 2. So this term ds cos theta upon R square is taken as d omega, where d omega equal to ds cos theta upon R square will represent the solid angle. It is the solid angle subtended by the surface area ds at point O. So the concept of this d omega is given here. If this is the surface area ds, then in 3 dimension, if you connect this point O with the surface area ds, then this angle in 3 dimension will be nothing but the solid angle d omega, and therefore the total electric flux phi E, the total electric flux phi E crossing the given closed surface will be given as, crossing the given closed surface, that is for entire surface S or whole surface S, we can write the total electric flux phi E. So phi E will be equal to integration over closed surface S phi E, that is d phi. That will be equal to integration over closed surface S factory dot vector ds, factory dot vector ds, that will be equal to, putting the value of eds, that is d phi, we can write integration over closed surface s q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 d omega. From this relation it is q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 d omega. Now q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 is constant, therefore it will be taken out of integration, and then we can write q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 integration over s d omega, equation number 3. But if you consider this integration over closed surface s d omega, its value comes out to be integration over closed surface d omega, that is equal to 4 pi. This will be the solid angle subtended at the center of a sphere in 3 dimension, and that's why it will be equal to 4 pi. Therefore we can write phi e equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0, q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 into the value of integration of d omega, that is 4 pi. 4 pi will get cancelled, and therefore we will get q upon epsilon 0, that is the value of phi e, as equation number 4. So if you consider this equation number 4, then this is true for every electric charge enclosed by a given closed surface. So this equation we have obtained for this plus q charge. Like this plus q charge, number of charges will be present inside this closed surface, and therefore for all the charges this equation number 4 will be true. For that means for each and every charge we can write the total electric flux phi e will be equal to q upon epsilon 0. Now the total flux due to charge q1, for charge q1 total flux will be over given closed surface, that is equal to phi 1 equal to q1 upon epsilon 0 by using this fourth equation. Then similarly the total flux for charge q2 over the given closed surface area will be phi 2 equal to q2 upon epsilon 0. Similarly, if we proceed up to n charges, then the total flux for charge qn, that is for nth charge, phi n will be equal to qn upon epsilon 0. Now according to superposition principle, the total flux phi due to all charges enclosed within the given closed surface will be given as, so by using superposition principle we can write phi e equal to q1 upon epsilon 0 plus q2 upon epsilon 0 plus qn upon epsilon 0. That is by principle of superposition, the total flux for a given surface will be equal to sum of the total flux due to the individual charges, and therefore it will be written as in the form of summation I is equal to 1 to n qi upon epsilon 0, where I takes values from 1 to n. So that will be written as, that is summation I is equal to 1 to n qi, that is the total charge q, and therefore it will be q upon epsilon 0, that is the value of total flux due to that entire surface or closed whole surface, and therefore we can write integration factory dot vector ds will be equal to q upon epsilon 0 as equation number 5. From this equation we can state Gauss law or Gauss theorem. So the statement of Gauss law or Gauss theorem is given as the flux of net electric field through a closed surface is equal to the net charge enclosed by the surface divided by epsilon 0. The net flux or the flux of net electric field through a closed surface is equal to the net charge enclosed by the surface, divided by epsilon 0. So this is the statement of Gauss law. This law is applicable to any closed surface of regular or irregular shape. Whatever may be the shape of the surface, we can apply Gauss law or Gauss theorem to it. And now let us see the continuous charge distribution. Continuous charge distribution. Charges may be continuously distributed by three different ways, that is linear charge distribution, then surface charge distribution, and volume charge distribution. And therefore here we will define linear charge density lambda, then surface charge density sigma, and volume charge density rho. So all these three terms we will have to define. So let us see first the linear charge density lambda. For this purpose we have considered a conductor of length L and plus q charges are deposited on its surface. So plus q charges are deposited on the length of the conductor L, and therefore if charge q is uniformly distributed along a linear conductor of length L, then linear charge density is defined as the charge per unit length, and therefore linear charge density lambda equal to charge per unit length, that is q by L. The SI unit of this linear charge density will be coulomb per meter. Now let us consider second, that is surface charge density sigma. If again charge q is uniformly distributed over a surface area A, then surface charge density is defined as the charge per unit area. So in the second diagram, plus q charges are deposited on the surface area A of this object, and therefore the surface charge density sigma will be equal to charge per unit area. Its SI unit will be coulomb per meter square. Similarly, if you go for third distribution, that is volume charge density rho, then in this case in a volume V, plus q number of charges are distributed uniformly, and therefore if charge q is distributed uniformly throughout volume V, then volume charge density is defined as charge per unit volume, and therefore the volume charge density rho will be equal to charge per unit volume, that is q by V. In SI system of units, it will be measured in terms of coulomb per meter cube. So this will be regarding the continuous charge distribution. So in this case we have defined linear charge density, then surface charge density, and volume charge density.